All right. You guys want to do this?
Yeah.
All right. This is a ghost attack. I don't know if you guys are numbering these things or what.
No,
But
we're happy you're here.
we're recording. Oh,
We're
we already started.
recording.
We've already started.
Yeah, see, that's the thing
Damn it.
about
Started.
ghosts.
Damn
They
it.
can start.
They can attack at any
even before
time
you
of
know
the
that
day.
you're recording.
Completely missed it. I completely.
Bryce is back.
Hello, everybody. Hi.
This is like the end of Beetlejuice. We're opening up the book titled "The Living and the Dead," a guide to dealing with ghosts.
Bryce,
Hi.
you're done with your you were dead to us.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into that, we should explain from the audio quality issue. You're going to hear rolling thunder behind us. You're going to hear chimes, but it's a pregnant moment right now, sitting on the porch of HQ right now.
Yes, in that it's about to break water.
There's a storm is coming. You got
Yeah.
a storm coming, honey.
What was that original clip about? You got a storm coming, honey.
It was auditions. There was like auditions for a commercial.
Oh, really?
Because there's a whole montage of people doing that. They give a one-line quote or like they recite, a quote of their choice, and then they do some like action exercise, right? They have to say a slogan and then some sort of action.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was ultimately for, but I'm assuming it was an audition. It certainly looks like an audition tape.
Yeah. All right. I didn't know if it was a Q thing, like, or they just like co-opted by Q.
Oh, damn. We got lightning.
Okay.
Yes.
This is going to be a hell of a show. That's good. I feel the.
Are you feeling the energy?
lightning and the thunder and the thunder and the thunder?
All right. So we're all hanging out for the first time in a while. Bryce, how was
Hi.
your month off?
It was great. It was good. It was both busy and not busy.
You kept busy with personal enrichment.
Right. I was learning. I'm learning. I'm still learning. I'm still in the process of learning JavaScript.
Yeah.
I was really flattered and it warmed my heart to see you showing up just to watch from the audience during the live streams while you're out. I'm like, dude, Bryce knows he's off duty. He's here because he cares and wants to see. And there were moments where you could see, John getting overwhelmed during Cord Killers or whatever. And there was just unironic cheering from Bryce. He's like, you got this. Come on. And it made me real proud of our whole collective. It was really neat.
Yeah. Especially that first week I sat in and watched all of both of the streams, the Weird Things and the Cord Killer streams. And then week 2 and on, it was maybe not the same full attention.
Week 2 is like, I explained to you how to make this bed.
Yeah.
They're gonna talk about Quibi. No one cares about Quibi, but they're gonna keep talking about Quibi. So it's gonna be.
It's like, look, if it's on fire, y'all know my numbers. So
That was most of it. Was like, okay, I'll tune in to make sure the stream turns on and nothing's muted after a certain point, and then we'll see what else is going on throughout the day. But yeah, Corey and John both did a very good job of picking up the reins, especially John, because Weird Things did not have, say, any publishing glitches or hiccups, because there's really not anything to. It's not complicated.
Right. But meanwhile, Cord Killers has
19
three
different versions.
different programs and as
Has
many
3 different
permutations of the 3
Right.
programs as you can invent.
And then a bunch of feeds that are all built on other stuff. And so if John doesn't click this one thing because no one would normally click this thing because it's not important, well, then it doesn't work on these 4 things. And it's it was
process.
a lot. It's a process, and it's a lot longer for Cord Killer. So thank you everybody for your patience.
For the record, anybody who either said anything on Twitter or sent an email message to the Cord Killers account, trust me, John heard it. It was passed along to John.
Oh, really?
Well, and I mean, that's one of those things where it's like you can do a thing because you're told to do a thing, or you can wrap your mind around a goal and then deal with like it's Wednesday morning and people are like, yo, normally it's posted on Tuesday, where's my whatever? And it's like, oh, now I'm feeling the pressure. I mean, you obviously have dealt with this for half a decade now.
Well, and it's tough because, so if people don't know, Monday we record all of those shows all at once. and then I go home and spend another 6 hours editing and publishing them so that they get up the next day.
Yeah.
Which is not the commitment that John has bought into for any of these shows. And I completely understand that.
Well, and if nothing else, John now understands how valued you are.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot. We have do people know we have a new intern? Do people know we have an intern?
No, I haven't been.
I mean, I'm not going to name him or.
Well, let's not name him because he's under the age of 18, and
actually in Texas you don't get a name until you're 18.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You become the first of your name.
Right. He was sitting in and watching some of the shows yesterday, and I was like, I was showing him all the stuff, showing as much as I could in the like 10 minutes he had before he was getting picked up. But I definitely was like, so like this is all one thing, but then there's also the 6 hours at home that you're not going to see because it's the next part of the process. And
I'll tell you what, though, man, our intern, who I cannot wait to get permission to introduce to the show. However, it'll have to come from his parents.
Right.
But
he seems nice.
Oh my gosh. I would say that if what you're here for is that magic guy to learn magic, we have not had word one about any magic anything. And meanwhile, I believe this is his third or fourth day that he spent, and he sat there and watched us talk about the intricacies of pandemic and health policy for
right.
2 hours plus. He watched us talk about cutting the cord for 2.5 hours, and then said, "Yes, now I want to know what you do with the files afterwards." None of this is, as I understand it, what he's really into.
Yeah,
right. And I'm like, that's how you know somebody who's serious about
because they want to delve into
every
little
detail,
inch of it.
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like like I had a brief moment speaking to his parents where I was like, I had an internship in my last year of high school, and what I wanted was to learn. What I got was all the work nobody wanted to do. And I was like, I do not want it to be like that. If he wants to learn, like I really want to bring him the full story.
Ideally, for both sides, it should be both, right? Like
you should still do the shit work.
He should do stuff that nobody wants to do, but also he should learn why he's doing it and why it needs to be done, and like get the sense of like, oh, okay, well, I can do this. Like now I can walk away and do my own thing, or I can know exactly where I'd want to plug in.
And maybe this is me projecting my own story. Like what I wanted to learn was programming. What I was told to do was
take out the garbage,
catalog all of the old computers in the back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think I'm learning JavaScript this way.
No.
Also, I think they'll invent something called JavaScript in 10 years.
Justin, have you had an internship or an apprenticeship or anything like that?
Yeah, well, at the James Randi Institute, I was an intern, which basically ment.
Did you learn how to move objects with your mind?
No, I scanned old James Randi articles.
Yeah.
But then again, that was also a very. I was already kind of learning a lot of the stuff because I was friends with Andrew, and so like he was kind of doing very interesting stuff within that organization. So I didn't feel in any way like kind of put upon. It was just more like I wanted to kind of be there and just see what that was. But also that was a great example because, and God bless the James Randi Institute, although that's a funny turn of phrase now that they say it. Like they were very much a like, I don't know, what do you want to do today? Like kind of organization. And that helped me realize that like, okay, you can have money and you can have purpose, but if you don't have a mission of what you do when you wake up every day, then it's very easy, especially if you already have the money, to have a lot of people sit in a room and say, what should we do? And then a lot of people say, I don't know, to that idea. And then you all say, cool, well, let's break for lunch. And then we're going to come back. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about what we're going to do today.
So this sounds to me like an organization that does not have a Corey Cranfill.
Well, yeah, or this is going to sound like I'm being critical, but like, or a product, like, you know, 'cause the product was basically like, it eventually became
like the only thing I know about the James Randi Foundation or Institute is the
$1 million
prize,
challenge.
the $1 million prize.
and that's like, that was a thing that happened when somebody called the hotline and said, like, I know every letter. If you just think of a letter, I'll think of the letter that's in your head, and I'll find water, and I can invent gasoline with my nose. Like, and then you're like, cool.
That would be cool if you can do that.
And then like you set a thing up, and 9 times out of 10, they'd be like, cool. All right, well, your double-blind gasoline nose test is set for this date, and they would just be like, rad, and never show up. Like that was that. Like every once in a while they'd show up. Like, but that was vanishingly rare. Like maybe once a year somebody would actually follow through on an appointment, and it would be a quick and awkward experience, and then everybody would leave, and that would just be that.
That was easily one of the most electric. If I say performance, it would denigrate it, but moments of my life was sitting in a fully packed theater at the height. I want to say this is like TAM 6 or 7, the Amazing Meeting at its peak, when Banachek was administering the $1 Million Challenge live on stage, and there was this moment beforehand where, and keep in mind, these are all skeptics. These are all people who believe there's nothing here.
Yeah.
But there's this brief, almost like a benediction where I don't know if it was Banachek or James Randi that said it, where it's like, look, we're all skeptics, yes, but this is a sincere challenge, and we're going to make a sincere effort to keep everything as fair as possible, and understand the reason we do this with this hallowed, almost reverential attitude is because if this person really can divine things, this is a technology that will be so valuable, it'll be worth, $1 million will be chump change compared to
it
what
would
it is.
Change society and civilization as we know
and
it.
then she picked the wrong cards. And but everybody was dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Like people
and
in,
I think
in the live stream chat were just like, is there no audio? I don't understand. Why is it so quiet?
And I was against it. I was against it being a live thing, knowing how these things went.
Yeah.
And so I was literally like, this might be throwing the Christians to the lions, like, and not much difference between it, because you got a bunch of atheist skeptics that are all going to sit around, and I was afraid.
Oh, you were afraid the skeptics would be on bad behavior.
Yes.
Wow.
Because
they have been
they're
on bad
behavior.
Because 2 years previous, Richard Dawkins published a book.
Yeah, I mean, it's not known. I was not there.
Yeah.
But when I heard about it, I was just worried that it was going to come off as like mass bullying with this thin guy's
like a fucking Coliseum, like
exactly.
battle.
Yes. Literally, yeah. Christians and the Lions. Like that was it. It was just going to be like this person screwed up, and then everyone's going to be like, woo, you suck.
I'll tell you what, man, being there in the thick of the audience, and I was a nobody at this. I think I knew just a couple of the big players, but I wasn't there as a guest or anything. I was just a person in attendance. It was positively reverential, which is a weird word to use given that it's a bunch of skeptics, but it's like, I ain't heard silence like that since somebody was getting confirmed in church. I mean, it was.
I'm glad.
It was really, really powerful.
I was very glad to hear that it didn't come off ugly. Just knowing that, like, look, the people that go through with it, tend to be whatever the fine line between very.
There are archetypes of people who do this.
It's just I'm looking for a word that's not delusional, like, but they're very convinced,
self-bought in their right.
And
I mean, because you don't get to that point without believing it. I mean, if it was real, you would have full faith and confidence in it.
And to my surprise, and I've talked with Andrew and Justin about this, I would have expected that it would have been 50-50 hucksters and and misguided souls, but they were like, no, not one huckster shows up.
Never.
Only misguided souls.
Yeah.
Because
if you're smart enough to think you can fool it, you're smart enough to know that nothing you do will get through.
Right.
Like,
and
there's so much money at stake.
And that was what I was afraid, was that people who are going to be there were going to think that it was Lyle Landley walking in saying like, well, I'm going to show all you not disbelievers, like watch the gasoline come out of my nose. Like, and then everyone's going to be like, boo. And then he was going to fail, and then I'll go, yay. But when you look at it, it's like, no, they tend to be kind of shy, quiet, sincere people for whom have just like they've always done things for which the human brain has kind of convinced them, oh, well, this can't be coincidence. Well, like, and that's hard to root against. It's good to have, it's a great press release, and it's a great thing to just learn to say like, oh no, this is the power of double blind testing. This is like a very elemental reality of science that you can separate the wheat from the chaff by doing this. But boy, I was worried, but I'm glad to hear that it didn't go like that.
The wild part was watching it in the moment, and I had the same fear that you had, but instead I was pleased to see the reverential silence that everyone had, the fact that nobody tried to disturb or mess with anything, the fact that everybody was patient at every step of the way, and ultimately, there's a statistically significant number of cards, like out of the 5 cards, if you guess 3, whatever, like at that point, it's like, okay, there's something here, but everything was double blinded, so you
get a computer to pick a card,
right?
Or something.
We didn't get an interesting result,
right.
and she as though it was a grandmaster chess master shaking hands at the end, like, well, I guess I learned something, thank you. And then there was a press junket or a press thing afterwards, and I guess because I was the guy from Scam School, I was invited in, and there was a discussion, and the person, she said, I guess I thought it was this, but everything was totally fair, above board. I guess it didn't work out. I guess I don't have this ability. I got things to think about.
Yeah.
And then what was really wild was in the hours and then days afterwards, the slow massaging of the narrative from her perspective that started off as like, well, I mean, it all seemed above board and I guess I was wrong, to, yeah, now that I think about it, it is a bit weird that they had a sleight of hand artist administer the test. And then it became, wait a minute, this guy who is definitely a weird, and then all of a sudden now there's a dissection of the video that was posted out where it's like,
oh, really?
Look at this. It looks like he's doing something fishy with the cards. Seems to me like he might have done a switcheroo that I don't understand. Yeah. And then it eventually became, yep, I totally still have the gift. I don't know what those charlatans over at the JREF are up to, but I don't appreciate it none.
I mean, it turns out it wasn't a pivotal, life-changing moment. It was just a public spectacle that didn't really change her line of thinking. I mean, even if she had a significant moment, right? At the end of the day, she went home and still had a lot of those same thoughts.
And ultimately, that challenge is not for the people that try.
Exactly. Right. It's for everybody else. It's for every other discussion being had about it. And that's part of why I'm sad it's not around anymore, because it was the ultimate settling of any bar argument about this kind of thing, where it's just like, hey, man, there's $1 million waiting for you.
You're in a position where you could probably put together your
pick
own.
Up the mantle.
Yeah.
Oh,
all you need to do is find a couple of rich people.
Bryce, you want to stop doing podcasting and instead listen to crazy people all day?
You repeat yourself, sir.
He's back! The kid is back!
We missed you, Bryce!
That would certainly be strange. It would certainly be like going through the actual thought process. Like, what if we did something like that? It would be strange because, and I don't know how the James Randi organization is set up, but we're a little home style here.
Yes.
And I think
by that you mean a for-profit institution running out of private property. Yes.
Out of a ranch home.
I mean, the difference between this operation and the JREF is that this operation is far more advanced and functional than the JREF was. Like, and not to say that, again, like James Randi traveled the world, he spread his message. That's the point of that foundation, was like to bring his point of view to the world, because so many people found it fascinating, including the people that bankrolled it. So it did its job. So I don't mean to say that it was dysfunctional in that way, but if you guys were just to do the modern rogue $1 million challenge, and it was literally the exact same rules, and you credit it as like, hey, we want to be the spiritual successor of this thing, and we will work with whatever other organization to like double blind stuff, so people think that it's not like us, like it'll be a third party thing. I think you totally could. Really, the biggest thing is just the paperwork of having the 1-800 I have powers line that you call back and say like, hi.
Give me 5 years. just not overnight.
When did the James Randi challenge stop?
Not long ago. I want to say
very recently, relatively.
2012
I
or
don't
13
know.
or so.
I don't know because as soon as he got sicker, it became it became a little bit, and he had sunset it for like a few years before, but people were so tied to it that it wound up kind of coming back.
Also, it was not his money. It was money that was on loan to the foundation for the purpose of sitting in a vault just so that it was real money. And
yeah. But I ask because there's an I don't know if it's a new type of crazy, but online crazy is like the type of crazy right now. The YouTuber crazy people is the crazy thing right now. I mean, I mean, I don't know how you would structure it, but I could equally see someone say, "Oh, my nose can produce gasoline," as much as someone saying
the exact word was "invent gasoline," which I think is much more interesting.
It's gasoline with a Z.
It's like it creates new varieties of it.
It falls into a brandy snifter and then a gasoline sommelier.
He's like, Conoco, close to Norway, 86.
Yeah, it's like, no, this is entirely new gasoline.
Notes of Exxon, but Shell as well. What the? But I think if you did that nowadays, as someone who does not know anything about the James Randi organization, I feel like you'd have probably equal amounts of people like that saying they have some physical ability, and then conspiracy whack jobs showing up with a pile of papers saying here's Pizzagate or something.
And from what I understand, there's a lot of those people that show up with the first test, as I understand it, from hearing from Andrew and Justin, that almost everybody failed was in one paragraph, as simple as possible.
Explain what you do.
Yes.
And they would get nothing but 10-page treatises on energies and chakras and blah, blah, blah.
And so it's like, it boils down to, hey, you can compete here if we can agree on a double-blind test that we both agree that if you passed, then it would be incredible. A thing.
Yeah.
And so that tends to weed out like, I can prove who killed Kennedy or that Hillary Clinton is siphoning blood from
So you
children.
get a bunch of stories of like, I had a dream and then 9/11 happened and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's like, all right, well, we can't.
Unfortunately, it was 2003, so it doesn't really help anything. But the Night Attack email address gets scam. I've talked about this before, but we don't have any spam filters, so we get everything. We get do you want linoleum? Hey, you want linoleum? We can get it direct from China.
That's really weird because I was just thinking like, what if we covered this with
linoleum? I just had a dream that the Twin Towers were made out of linoleum and the planes bounced right off them because it was so strong. Beijing strong linoleum.
But we also get the classic I'm a foreign prince and you just won the national lottery. But the other one that we get is the unhinged, like biblical screeds.
Yeah.
The 10-pager that seemingly has neither objective nor evidence. It's just a lot of the world is on fire, Luke 10:12.
Yeah.
And the Pizzagate guys said that they did it, Epstein 14:9.
Epstein 14.
And so I don't know. Every time we get one of those, I try to
Bryce, we missed you so much.
Epstein 14, Book of Job 10. And the spread was 3.5.
I try to respond to those.
And low, the money line was set at -150.
I try to respond to those just to see what type of person sends those. And also it's not my personal email, so whatever.
Let's just take this fucking for a spin.
He just says, so anyway, you signed up for a bunch of newsletters, drops the mic and leaves.
Bryce just reply all. God's fake, send.
So one time, so we get one of those. It's the whole thing. And I just, it's so long. And I just find, damn, is that true? I send it back. I get
is that true?
I get not a reply, but a brand new message that is the same body, but the subject line is "It's true," and then the original
The
subject
same
line.
thing?
And it's just the same.
Oh,
I mean, I watch a lot of the like phone scam people, right?
Yeah.
Like Kit Bogo.
Kit Boga, yeah. And if you've never seen him, he's
great.
live on Twitch every day, and all he does is call back known scam numbers
Right, to waste their time.
to waste their time.
It's like a 1-to-1 kind of like, if I'm on the phone with these people, then that's one less person
And
who's
he's
calling
got
grandmas.
every trick in the book of like giving them fake bank account number or like a rigged
He's-
bank
he's-
account
he's-
number so he can see what they're trying to do.
he's like
and,
a real life Colin Robinson.
It's
More so, yeah.
brilliant performance art of our modern time as the telephone has more become haunted technology where only the bandits roam.
But so I get some of the scams, right? The refund scam or the, you're Norton resubscribed. If
Right.
you want to cancel, here's this 48-point font phone number that you call. But with the screeds, with the biblical end of days, I don't know what to do. I don't even know what the point of it is. That's why I respond to it, because I don't even know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know what the point of it is.
Right.
Unless it's to spread
Maybe
FUD,
just
but-
respond with just like, holy shit. like what else do you say?
Wow, what can I do?
Or no. Don't
Just-
even
just-
invite. Just say, holy shit. And then they say it again. Yeah, it's all true. And you're like, well, damn.
Yeah.
And then they said it again. You're like, whoa.
Whoa, again. They did it again. Yeah, so I guess maybe I'll have an update on that.
I don't know. There's something to this game. I like it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what though, but the idea of you guys doing it would be fascinating because in the modern context, it would kind of be like the most bizarre collab videos.
Yeah.
Because you would want to build a culture of like, if you see somebody doing something that they say is crazy on YouTube, hit up their comments and say, you should apply for the blank. And now you're like, hey, look, these guys signed up to do it. We figured out a double blind test.
And this is a dangerous time to hit me up with this because you know how I tend to be is I tend to overextend myself, and then I tend to contract and finally get my act together, and then I get itchy to overextend myself. And
Yeah.
Bonnie and I had a conversation where she's like, "Hey, this is about the time you try to overextend yourself. Let's say you don't."
Maybe
and
you
I'm
just,
like, and I'm like, "Yes, sweetheart.
Sleep
I
on
agree.
any new idea. Take any new idea and sleep on it.
Yeah, that's right.
I also think that, I mean, from a pure business side, it would be very interesting to make video content out of whatever this is. If you get someone to say that they agree to X methodology, whatever. But I also think you would get in a lot of hot water of exploiting people
Well,
who
and
don't
also,
know any better.
Also,
Yeah.
right now, like I think we've done a pretty good job of making it clear where it's like we're not exactly hiding where HQ is, but we're definitely not ready for random visitors. And it's like the moment you pull something like that, then it's like then all of a sudden people
Now
with
it's on,
cameras
yeah.
are showing up, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
I
I got rejected from the Modern Rogue Challenge building, Enterprises HQ 4K.
I did get a really good email from somebody who was like, "Hey, I really like your stuff, and I wanted to impress you by saying I figured out where your place is. I did this clue, that clue, the other clue, these 5 other clues." And then I searched on Google Maps and
Just
found
found it.
that somebody has just named it, and we already have like 3 5-star reviews. And so it's like, all right, please, nobody show up. We don't even have a fence yet.
Yes. And also the fence you do have is coming down.
Yeah.
And then there'll be a new fence at some point, but we don't
There
know.
will be a time. There will be a time. We'll
Yeah.
be ready for the siege.
One
of
day
crazy
there will be a
people.
new fence. There will be a new podcast and a new fence.
I was thinking about, one. I like to throw out crazy ideas, and I thought of a smaller one. Do you remember that Eviltron from Think Geek?
Yeah, the evil gizmo. It's like a little cell phone battery, and it's got a magnet, and you hide it somewhere, and it beeps.
That's
randomly.
right. Well, that's the Annoyatron. Is
Oh.
it beeps? The Eviltron had like 10 different things you could select. The sound of children laughing.
Ugh.
The sound of
Jesus Christ.
Yes. The sound of like a devil's sigh or a groan or whatever.
Mhm.
And I was like, man, I don't know. To be honest, if I wasn't afraid of forgetting where I put them, I would just litter the entire backwoods with like $200 of Eviltrons.
I feel like this is year This is gonna be Halloween year 2 or 3 where we've heard this idea.
Oh my God. Do you realize we could put on like the best Halloween, like super secret? You got to make an appointment and then you get the ultimate haunted trail.
You could have the literal monster mash.
They would fucking suck. It was a graveyard
monster fuck. Yeah. No, these woods, man, you could totally you could totally trick that out and put lights. I mean, then again, like, I don't know. This place has taken the couple years that you've had it to get functional for which it is now. Now it is a functioning place of business. It's probably going to be another couple years before it turns into the theme park that I feel like you see in your head.
Yeah, but like any theme park, I think over the next year or 2 years, we'll have some invite only experiences, you know, as we test stuff out, whether it's a small live performance of the two of us or bringing in some friends or whatever. Mm-hmm. But patreon.com/night attack is a good place to give money to a podcast that died. And now you could talk to its ghost.
Exactly. And we'll live again. I tried to break that Comey news. We broke Comey news.
I heard that his billboards are coming down.
His billboards are coming down. Yeah.
And you tried to break it on Reddit. Was that right? Is that what?
Well, I tried to post it on the Austin Reddit because it's local Austin news. And I felt like it was of worth and the mods did not agree.
You know what it was?
How did you phrase it?
It was because your Justin R. Young account posted the link to your Justin R. Young SoundCloud. That is almost entirely what it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because it was just the news and I didn't post any commentary to it. It was just, you know, a legendary David Comey billboards are coming down.
Also, I do perceive that the Austin subreddit, every subreddit has its own language. I do perceive that the Austin subreddit appreciates the honesty of, hey, I got to interview David Comey and I found this out. And there was no, hey, this is me and a thing I found out.
I feel like the other thing is I don't think people want to listen to that. I think they want to read a news article saying we listened to this interview, and it's like you would have if you roll up a WordPress and say.
The only reason why it was on the SoundCloud was because I cut out literally just the 30 seconds that people would want to listen to, and so I thought I was doing a better job of like, here, let's make it absolutely easy. We're not asking for clicks on our thing, so it's not even benefiting us. It's literally just the 30-second clip. And if Reddit had a native audio uploader that we could upload, then I would have put it there. So don't worry, there will be even less personal gain to any of that. But yeah, whatever.
It's weird.
And then I tried to launder it through local Austin media, and I feel like it's like the billboards will have to come down before
it's news.
We're here at the site of the billboards, and crews are taking down the iconic David Comey.
Because when I looked around for like,
oh my God, Rush Limbaugh, you're back from the dead and reporting on local Austin news.
That's right, I'm Rush Limbaugh, doing that classic Rush Limbaugh voice.
El Rushbo on Twitch.
But yeah, I like. The Austin subreddit loves that dude. They love it when people dress up like him. They love it when people talk about him. Like there are David Comey things on it. So I don't know. I was really proud of that interview though.
I wonder if like just saying man, I don't know. I don't want to speak for that subreddit. I'm a big fan of it, but I'm always a little hesitant. I've only posted on it a couple of times, and I've been very pleased when it hasn't immediately been removed. Like the only success I've had was taking a pretty good photo of the rolling pollen as it came in for the cedar fever.
Right.
Yeah.
My rule with Reddit now is don't post.
Really?
Don't post. There's no good coming out of trying to have a discussion on Reddit or trying to break any sort of link.
Yeah,
I in general just don't have.
I'm with you. Like I got just absolutely buried on like it was on the Kanye Reddit.
Yeah.
Where it was just like what's his worst album? And I just said what I thought his worst album was. As among fans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have strong feelings about it. So I'm like, oh, it's this one and it's not close. Yeah. And then I just got a bunch of 11-year-olds.
Fuck you, you're wrong.
Yeah. And they're like, bro, this was so downvoted. Delete this. And I'm like, no, you're a child. And also that's the worst album.
My behavior, don't post behavior, comes from having used Reddit for a very long time and developing, what is it, orange red syndrome. And you log in and you see, oh my God, I've got a message. Someone has responded to me.
Yes.
This is the worst fucking thing in the planet. My life might be over.
Yeah.
You do that enough times and you're like, it's not worth telling somebody that you didn't like the vegan burger at this place. It's not worth it at all.
No, I'm with you.
I don't know. I've had okay experiences. I've done, I think, 2 AMAs on there that were.
You want to move in from the rain? You're like about, or are you?
Oh no, it's not hitting me.
Oh wow.
It's falling down right behind me, but I'm not getting it.
But you also, like, you're a have, not a have-not.
Correct. Yes.
You know?
At the end of the day, like baked into the Ask Me Anything is the reason why you probably, and plus also like on AMA, they make appointments. They put you on the calendar, and so it's like you don't have to fear being kicked off. All you have to do is keep engaging the entire time.
Right.
AMAs are weird though. Like I don't know. I mean, I could do one on the Night Attack Reddit, and people would probably come and ask things. But then again, I almost feel like I'm so accessible.
Right.
Like I don't know if there would be more people. But then again, I guess all these platforms are different.
I mean, you remember this would have been 2 or 3 years. I mean, we did a Night Attack episode where the bit was that y'all did an AMA. We did an AMA live on the show, or people sent in the questions on Reddit, and we did the AMA. Well, and you guys just did an AMA.
Well, yeah, we just did it on the Discord. Yeah,
right. How was that?
It was good.
Really good.
Yeah.
And what's funny is we had one of those moments where even 12 years into this, we discover the different way we handle things. Like Justin commented on the fact that I ran into the Discord and I said, we're doing an AMA. We will read literally everything you post starting now. Mm-hmm. And Justin was like, it would never have occurred to me to phrase it that way.
Oh, yeah. Because Brian's just better at creating engagement, I feel like. I think I'm too earnest. Like I just come at it from a different perspective, and that is not good at like I would, if I owned a pizza place, it would be called Pizza That I Worked Really Hard On. I mean, like, you know, it's not for everybody,
but it's good.
But
it's
I
pizza,
think it's very good, and all my friends have enjoyed it, and that would be a long, big sign, and nobody would come eat there.
And then there would be a subtitle that says, I'm not saying you should want some, but if you do, it's reasonably priced, it's inside, it's me, Justin Robert Young.
And Brian's would be like, secret pizza. The pizza that nobody can eat. And if you do eat it, you're great.
The sign would say, true fact, Hitler has never had this pizza.
Yeah. And everybody would go there. And
Hitler is not allowed to have this pizza.com.
And just a big, like, no Hitler sign. Like, Hitler eating a pizza with a no, like a Ghostbusters no on it.
You know what? It is coming down now. I'm going to lean up against the wall over here.
But it's interesting because I think Discord and Reddit, like, are two opposite engagement methods. I think like Reddit is designed for you to do something and then walk away, and then you kind of look desperate if you respond to every comment. Where Discord, like, the least effective thing you can do is drop in a thing and then not come back in. Like you that's where you want to engage with people constantly.
Well, yeah, and Discord is like the hardest core. Like, it used to be persistent chat rooms and IRCs, and Discord just, I think, totally replaced that as like community hubs where, like, if you want to interact with the people that are into that idea, they're there all the time, and somebody will do it. Somebody will talk to you about it, whether or not it's like we get to have our own communities that have Discords, and that's great. But like for interests, I feel like there's like just a place for everybody in such a, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there are toxic discords, but like,
sure. But I mean, it is the same part of social media that like Facebook groups are. It's like the exact same like purpose and use case, but also it's not on fucking Facebook.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but perversely, I've always been, for lack of a better word, like I'm so in awe that there's a chat realm Discord that was formulated, even if we have no influence over it now, it was formed around the nucleus of our horseshit that I've been terrified to participate for fear of screwing things up. And then it's only in this hiatus while we're in purgatory and we're temporarily ghosts that I feel like, I don't know, I've really enjoyed jumping in there and found it so warm and inviting. And I've really enjoyed stuff that is just short of meriting a Twitter post or whatever.
But I will say,
I've enjoyed sharing it.
I will say though, if I might give a suggestion, is I think it's great because I've noticed you've been more active while I was gone, and that the server has I think partly been a little more active because of that. But I also think you kind of need to close the circle on stuff. Right. Like I remember you came in and you were like, hey, I'm going to get my hair cut. This was right before you got the mullet.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, what haircut do I get? And you got a lot of responses.
And then you closed the loop.
You immediately took it to Twitter, and then people have to like, well, oh, here's his tweet. And then they're
That's what he did. Yeah.
That would be my only suggestion is like, I think
check back
go
in.
Go further on it because I think you're doing right. But then at some point it's like, oh, well, this is too interesting to tell just these people, but also I'm not just going to tell these people. I'm going to do over here and not even tell.
In the case of the mullet, we've talked about it on the fringes. I don't think we've talked about it on the main show, but there was enough of a heavy emotional aspect that I didn't realize was there. With me cutting my hair and letting go of so much loss over the last 18 months that I want to grade on a curve, but I do agree. I should have come back and said, "Look what I did."
I mean, whatever. I'm not demonizing you, but this is all to say. Like, I think it's good that you're showing up more, both of you.
Well, I'm definitely enjoying it, and it's definitely as warm as I could dare hope. I mean, it's really great.
Yeah,
and on a larger scale, I think that the Discord is such a crucial part of this phase. Because this is a very back to basics kind of moment for the show.
We've never built a podcast in the normal way. This is the first time we've ever done this, where you start off low fidelity and you progressively increase fidelity. We've always tried to start off, making out with the sun and then fall into earth.
Like this is the first time that we've been a podcast. I mean, like a podcast. The podcast was kind of the outgrowth of the idea that we did a live stream. And this is the first time that we've ever like divorced that and said, no, here's a podcast. We're going to record it like a podcast. We're going to make this about like if things need to get edited out, we're going to like do little snips and stuff like that. It's rare, but
there is some amount of confidence that comes from, wait a minute. You mean everyone else gets to say backsies on things and after the fact take something away?
Well, even with the Comey interview, like he mentioned this commercial that he did, and it was like, oh, now
you sliced it in.
I just spliced it in the commercial, and it's like oh wow, that's a thing that I would do on like Raise the Dead or Feature Story or anything like that. But I would never think of to do it with Night Attack, mostly because I didn't edit Night Attack. Like it was always just a live to tape, talk radio show that was broadcast live in the way that a live talk radio show is. But now that plus the Discord, and it just always like makes me so excited that like I get to be the one to go in and say like, hey, new episode, and people can then react to it, and it's very, very fun.
Yeah. And like when I was doing Trending Lemon like a couple of years ago, that was a big thing for me. Was like, I trimmed up that show a lot. Like that was part of why I stopped doing that show, is because
it was effort.
Well, it was partly like booking someone every week on top of like, and then also they kind of expect me to do some booking for Night Attack. So that ended up being kind of tough. But it would also be like going in, like, the edits that I'll keep track of for weird things or cord killers, whatever. It would be like 4 times that. It would be super, because I'm very self-critical, and so it would be snip, 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 and it would be, you know, it would be the same content, and really nothing major got cut out or changed. But it was a thing of like, okay, so this is kind of a tough thing, not being live to tape, and also leaning into being able to edit everything after the fact.
But also, I think that part of the crucible element is us getting better at those things, then taking it forward and saying like, all right, well, we know we can do a live stream. Right. Like we know we can do that. And between like the 30 of us, but I would say you two in particular, you guys both have tremendous instinct, both learned and natural, of like, here's where we go, here's what we show, here's where we're cutting to. And it's like, if we were to do the David Comey interview live, we would have played that commercial. It just would have been like, Bryce, can you bring that up? Let's fill for a second. Let's stop this moment. Right. Let's get everything queued up, and then it wouldn't take long, but then it would play. And now we're like, okay, so if we do more, you know, podcast only kind of stuff, which I think will probably be a part of things as they reform, we know we can do it. We know that that's there.
That's also a dance that we've never done before, is truly having a significant amount of content behind the Patreon wall. And both of us have been, I believe, terrified of you know, just a backlash against it or whatever. And so far, we understand that we're paying everything on credit cards right now with the audience, but so far, I haven't heard too many people getting upset.
I've only listened to a few of the ghost attacks. Are you guys giving people the sell on like, hey, there are exclusive recordings? Because I definitely saw a thing on Reddit the other day that was like, they keep referencing this thing that I've never heard of.
Oh yeah, and so get on our Patreon, because we do at least one bonus episode a week, if not multiple.
Yeah.
And I try to, because I'm the one posting it. Like I try, if Brian's like referencing something that happened the last time we recorded, I try to reset it so people aren't like left out.
Yeah.
But no, we don't do any.
Also,
Bryce, I'm so glad you're back.
Justin, hope I'm not talking out of school here. It sounded to me like you have a bit of an allergy to any podcast that says, you know, and of course the good stuff is behind the paywall.
No, my specific allergy is people who lead with that.
Yeah.
So it's like if the episode starts, there was a podcast I used to listen to that would go like, that would literally spend their first 5 minutes talking about all the cool stuff that's on the Patreon.
Oh, I hate that when a show starts off. I know why people do it, but I really don't like it when they like go and record a separate intro. Like, hey guys, today I'm talking with this person and we had a really great time and you're going to enjoy it in like 5 minutes when I'm done talking. Like I really despise that.
You're like skip. Get to the thing.
Get to it.
Well, because it's usually nakedly just so they can put an ad on the other side of it.
Oftentimes it's that.
Speaking of which, no
Blue
details.
Chew.
No details. But I believe last week we indicated there was another thing, and that's all I'll say about it.
Can I
set up a thing? You can take it from
I'm
here.
going to set up a recurring bit.
Yep.
All right. And the recurring bit is Brian gets 5 words.
Okay.
All right. Here we go.
So you get 5 words.
Got the 5-word counter up.
And I will bleep any that I feel are too far. So understand there still is a censor, but you get 5 words to talk about the new project.
Now we're gonna give him some time to think about it. Unless you got it.
I think I'm ready.
All right, word number 1.
I don't get to qualify these words, do I?
No.
Okay. I think we landed it.
Okay. That's 5.
That's 5.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's 5
words. 5 words with Brian Brushwood about the other thing.
Pretty much sums it up.
Which also opens us up to now, especially now that Bryce is back here. Justin and I have been having a lot of discussions about what the next iteration of the show looks like.
Okay.
We have loose ideas, and we this part is not a secret. I know that on the menu, one of Bryce's least favorite items is Brian and Justin wave their hands and then nothing ever comes of a thing. And so we've worked really hard to not do that.
There's a great scene in this movie, CQ, letter C, letter Q, where Jason Schwartzman plays this like director, and they're like on location in Italy or something like that. And he's just rambling on like all these things he wants to do. I think he's telling a writer character like what they want to do. And then he just like gets on the back of a Vespa, and as he's like driving off, he just waves behind to the writer. I'll let you know if I have any more great ideas, and just zooms off. And that's what I imagine. Because the problem with our ideas,
our goal is to not be this
Well,
guy.
yeah.
For the record,
because oftentimes, and Bryce, tell me if this is incorrect, is that it's not the ideas that are the problem. It's that me and Brian come in minutes, if not seconds before live, or like even worse, it's an hour before live, and we're like, hey, we had this idea. We're going to have live animals, and we're going to do a thing. There's tasers and shotguns. And then Brian and I high five, and then we're like, we're going to Torchies. See you 5 seconds before we go live. And Bryce is like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with that?
It's a little bit of that. But sometimes the other thing is a lot of times I just get the full pipe of stream of ideas.
Yeah.
And so I guess I've been conditioned to take it in and, give feedback and wait until someone says, I want to do one of these ideas.
Right. Yeah. Right.
That's a lot of what it is. It's like,
it's
great. We've had a lot of really great ideas for things. And it's like, when you would like me to do this, please, I just need the blessing and we'll do it. Cause
like the code word is, here's an actionable item that all three of us are going to take in order to make a thing happen. And even then 50-50 on it being a real thing.
Yeah. And so that's more of what it is.
Yeah.
Like I'm not too worried about hearing some big 20-year scheme.
Ideas. Yeah.
Especially that can sometimes help to just hear that there's thought and activity going on.
Just knowing that there's anybody home is sometimes helpful.
Yeah.
Oh, good. You're even thinking about this. Great.
But yeah, the other half of it is just like, well, we thought about it. Feedback, everybody. This is what we should like try to do. That I think that's the last step that kind of doesn't.
And to be honest, I think part of it was the asymmetry of the fact that I wasn't here. So especially if we have an idea that requires any kind of physical thing, it was always a thing for me that like, all right, if I'm recommending something or I have an idea for something, then it does require like you guys to like
a little bit of footwork.
Be invested in it. Where now, since I'm here, I can say like, hey, I got this idea to do this, and then I can actually help do it, as opposed to just saying like I'm just tossing this shit in your guys' lap.
Either one of us can hop in a car and go to the hardware store and come back with a thing to do the whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's huge. And that was like part of the Comey thing, to be honest with you, was just like, instead of us saying like, oh, you want to know what? We should interview blank. It was just like, oh, cool. So I'm going to call David Comey's law office, and I'm going to say, hey, we'd like to interview you. And then I'll set up the interview. And then I just hit up Brian and be like, hey, we're interviewing him at 12:30. Does that work? And he's like, cool. And that was it. Yeah. So it's like, I think that's a huge part of it for me, even psychologically, is having that be the case. And I will say, beyond Brian's 5 words, we are at a point now with the new project where Brian's brain is kind of like, aside from the launch, like free of the production thing, which is huge for Night Attack and Ghost Attack and the evolution, because like it's very hard to care as much about this kind of new thing and then be like, and also on your off time while you're also juggling Cord Killers and weird things and Modern Rogue and Scam Nation. Also, like, put in some 5% work on this new gigantic relaunch.
Although I do think we have, since we're talking about this project, I get more than 5 words.
Yes,
I do think we have some core principles that we like, and whether or not we're able to implement them remains to be determined, and to what extent. But there is some really exciting stuff that we've toyed around with.
Is in the offing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And now Bryce is back.
So
which is very exciting.
Bryce,
Hello.
In your time off,
Yes.
was there one moment where you were like, well, this is nice. I get to do this because this is time off.
Did I?
I guess I'm asking another version of the question that we asked David Comey. I asked him, like, was there one iconic moment that resonates with you where you're like, oh, I really am rocking? And he described this incredible, the Rot Rally, the one with all the motorcycles, where 50,000 motorcycles come in.
Yeah,
he performed like as eyeballs as far as you could see to the Capitol, down this street, down that street.
Mm-hmm.
Not that. You need to hit anything that epic, but was there any iconic moment of feeling truly, yes, I am off that you got to have?
Weirdly, one of the experiences that I had, and I talked about this a little bit on the After Things program, which I guess will come out Wednesday, is I've been working on some of the Marvel stuff in the meantime, and one of the big experiences was setting up this sticker and pin pack.
Yeah,
which was like a whole to do because I am not was not ready to do that. Right, I didn't have materials. I didn't have mailers.
More work than any like. It is always great when people are like, "Hey, we want merch. Like, we want to we want to represent this thing that you like," and it's like. It's always so much more of a pain in the ass.
Well, it's so tempting to just go to Teespring and upload your logo and then have that same shitty generic store with just shit on there.
Which, for the record, I have now I'm very excited to be a part of that. Like, just,
right. It is way easier to be.
Because for me with like the politics thing, now it's like, okay, if people really like the phrase like COVID shots equals body shots.
Right.
And it's like, now I can just get that designed, upload it. And then the next episode, I'm like, guess what? We have these shirts.
Yeah.
And now people can get excited about it. And it's like, yes, you make $1.50 on it, but people have it. And now the next time I do a live show, there's going to be a bunch of COVID shots equals body shots things. Politicsmerch.com.
And so getting all that set up meant, getting a thermal printer and labels and not getting a Dymo because apparently those are the worst fucking thing to get. So when I launched that pack on the email, like I got orders in and it was the next day going to the post office and sending them off. That was like, oh yeah, like this is what I'm doing today. Like, I don't know. It was really cool to do that and to like both gain some of that skill of doing that, of packing and fulfilling and whatnot, and then that being the main thing, not having that be like, oh, I'm gonna squeeze in time to like this is what I'm doing today is figuring this out. In fact, doing the on demand printing stuff has been. It's been its own challenge because shipping, the way that the company that I use does shipping stuff is Byzantine, and I had to do a whole weight chart delivery thing because
are you pushing it through Shopify, right?
No, it's Printful through Squarespace.
Gotcha.
Right. But Squarespace doesn't do. Squarespace is a very great platform that still has, I think, some features missing. But I think it was that moment where I was just driving to the post office at like 11 a.m. or something. I mean, like, yeah, this is like a real thing that I'm doing. More so than any like sitting around or playing a game or relaxing. Like, actually having plenty of time to explore those things.
That's a huge part of any kind of project is just realizing exactly how much time it takes.
Mm-hmm.
And like once you realize how much time it takes, it demystifies it. You don't feel bad because you can't fit it into your work schedule because you're doing it as a side hustle and like you're pushing it off, and like you can actually schedule it. And that's just in terms of consistency, that's the only lesson that you need to learn.
Hey, I got a question.
Go ahead.
Do ghosts answer emails?
Sure they could.
I mean, so if somebody went to the grave of whatever that previous show is that we did before we became
Mail
ghosts.
at nightattack.tv.
Yeah.
And they wanted to let us know their 10-page biblical essay.
Please. We're going to reply to them.
For real?
we may whisper late at night. You may hear a ghost answer your emails if you have any questions.
Actually, that reminds me. I need to forward you an email someone sent in about pickleball.
Yeah.
I guess they were sending in some other sport. I'll forward it to you. But what the other thing that we've gotten a lot of since we did that special April episode has been people have been continuing to send in their high thoughts.
Oh yeah,
so that's been fun.
Ghost thoughts.
Man, no, that was a fun fun episode to do.
I have not re-listened to an episode twice after performing it in maybe 10 years, but like
wow.
I just kept listen. It is the first time I've ever done that. I've never
been under the influence
been
of recording
on show
exactly
for the show.
Exactly. And then like I've never that was like I was like I think I did all right. I go back and listen. I'm like that sounds okay, but it had it's the next day. I might still be under the influence. Let me listen again.
Yeah, I think aside from people being confused on what a reverse vampire was,
still do not know what it is. But
reverse vampire was the mullet. The mullet was like an Easter egg that you place inside a mirror, and every time you look at a mirror, you see yourself, and you're like, "Oh, that's right, you get to be this guy." How cool! It's like a gift.
Not close at all to what I thought it would have been.
Okay, well, a vampire sees nothing in the mirror. This is a reverse vampire. It's a better version of yourself. Okay.
All right, one last thing, and then we'll get out of here.
I feel like I disappointed you with that answer.
The rotten philosophy that comes out of it's a reverse vampire because you look in the mirror and it's
you see
better version of yourself.
You see more of yourself than you've ever seen before.
I see. Some questions are better left unanswered, I think.
All right, one last thing, Brian. A personal thing that you have realized that is now my favorite part of talking to Brian.
Yes,
is your new qualifier for metaphors.
Oh yeah. No. We had a guest in, and I just realized that it is known on the show that I keep slipping into metaphors all the time
on first reference.
I just act like everybody should know what I'm talking about.
Everyone else can completely understand what the topic is. But then we may also get a metaphor just in case.
Instead of Brian saying, I opened up the refrigerator and my sandwich was gone.
I'm in the Sahara and it always disappears.
Exactly. Yes. I'm destitute and dying. My saliva is dried. And there I see baloney. You're like, I'm sorry, what?
A pool of baloney lay before me on the earth and soil.
There was definitely an enlightened moment where I have made the habit of at least noting metaphor incoming before I go into a metaphor, and meanwhile Justin's like just clapping like you're doing it, Brian. You're doing it. You're almost a human.
Just amazing. It's so good. Just like metaphor coming instead of him saying like I'm in the Sahara. I'm like, when'd you go to Africa? But yeah, so be ready for incoming metaphors. That will now be labeled. Hey, Bryce.
Hi.
When can a ghost attack?
I'm told anytime.
At the night or during the day. All right, we have to go back to purgatory.
Yeah.